Welcome back. In the previous part, we got presented with a question. Who exactly was the inspector that appeared before Mr. DeRusso and Mr. DeRossi? It wasn't Gregson, it was someone using his identification. But the key thing was the person who it would be would have a red ring around their neck due to a collar that those two placed upon them a day or so ago. And we know of one person who has a ring around their neck. So let's go with an imposter here. Though it seems incredible, I admit, the undeniable facts point to only one thing. Since no bruising can be seen on the victim's neck, the person who these two red-headed men took prisoner that day cannot have been Inspector Gregson. In other words, your whole argument up to now has been a waste of time.
Objection!
On the contrary, I haven't finished. What? There's no bruising on the victim's neck, so the question immediately posed next is, who exactly was this man in the park on Lime Street found to be carrying Inspector Gregson's identification? Yeah, very crucially important, because how did he get the identification? See, that's so right. We tell the same story every time. Whoever this man was, the capo dragged him from a pillar to a post with a dog collar. Mon Dieu, Peppino, I was not so harsh as you say, huh? So who was that falso inspector, eh? Who was he? Clearly, the defense has an idea about that. About the true identity of the man these two imprisoned that night. I must ask the counsel for the defense to elaborate post-haste. Who did the witnesses encounter in the park posing as Inspector Gregson? This guy who clearly has a ring around his neck in this picture here.
Take that!
Goodness me, isn't that one of the witnesses who was in the stand in this very courtroom earlier today? A nameless man whose only occupation appears to be peddling hearsay to passers-by.
Objection!
What on earth would a street seller be doing with a police inspector's identification papers? Indeed. So bring the bloody guy in and let's ask him. Witnesses, is this the man or not? What has happened to his lip? See, this man is not the red-headed league, eh? He's looking for the twisted lip league, no? Perhaps rather than making such a rash claim next time, you should bite your lip instead. Oh, where'd that go? He bit his lip. Seems improbable, yes, but one undeniable fact remains. During his testimony earlier, I noted something around the man's neck. A red ring of bruising. What? The defense demands that Mr. Gossip be brought back to the stand. Oh yes, I'd like to see this line of inquiry, yes. Order, bailiff. Bring the aforementioned witness back into the courtroom. Immediately. Good. There it is. Well, I never. An undeniable ring of bruising indeed. And identical to that of the witness beside him. Now what's going on here, eh? Always had this, me. It's a birthmark, innit? A birthmark, you say? I assume the reason you've been recalled to the stand has been explained to you? Something about an inspector again? But I'm telling you, you've got it all wrong as usual. You're denying all knowledge of it? Why? Well, of course I am. Like clearly we're right, but why are you denying it? Are you trying to kill me with all this nonsense, eh? Well, at least you'll have more stories to peddle back on Fresno Street, won't you? Fair point. Now we're going to need you to testify again. And you, Mr. De Russo and Mr. De Rossi, I'm sure you'll cooperate, won't you? Do we have any choice? We are in big trouble, I capo. It's quite enough. Dilatory? Chatter. Proceed with the testimony. Dilatory? I'm not trying that word. Someone let me know. The inspector and the identification revisited. The man who claimed to be an inspector that day was definitely not this man. Why do you deny it? Because clearly it's going to be him, but why? He's right, see. You think we would forget these grand lips, huh? He bit his lip. Clearly. I never leave Fresno Street, alright? I have no interest in any red-headed league. I'm all alone in the world, me. I have no kinfolk or nothing. Why would I be involved in something like that? To get the money? Like, just the same reason everyone else. £4 per week. Of course you'd be in on it. Alright. Just look at me, eh? Does it look like I could carry off a disguise with a face like this? Alright, well, I think press pretty much everything. It would certainly appear that we have the wrong man. Have I been telling you, huh? There was no need for this pointless testimony. Ugh. That's right. I'm just a simple peddler, remember? Fresno Street's all I know. How would I have come by a police inspector's identification book, eh? Well, yes. It's hard to explain, but... A brief cross-examination, I think, counsel. Very brief. Brief? Isn't there anyone in this courtroom who thinks I might be onto something? I stand steadfastly at your side as always, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you, Suzuto. I think Kazuma's on our side as well, but... Alright, let's pretty much ask on everything. Inspector and the identification revisited. The man who claimed to be an inspector that day was definitely not this man. Hold it! See if you can find a hole. So you say, but how can you be quite so certain? There's no need to hurt your hands on the desk, monsieur. Surely the reason is obvious, no? Because I have never before seen lips like this. Nevertheless, there's clearly a red mark around Mr. Gossip's neck. And it looks very much like the left behind on the neck of your colleague by your prized collar. Mon Dieu, with your words, 'tis like you try to wring my neck. It does look very much like my neck, though, eh? No, this is a birthmark, lad. The biggest lips in London and a neck to die for. Aye, they broke the mold when they made me. For the first time in my life. I feel lucky to have been born with red hair. And I thought being Japanese made you stand out in London. So, you maintain that you've never seen this man before? Oui, c'est ça. I swear it by the flames of my hair. So fierce pride has outgrown the frustration with your hair now, has it? Is right, see? You think we would forget these grand lips, huh? Hold it! Well, yes, I don't imagine I'll forget those lips in a hurry either. That is what I am saying, for some reason. Makes me want to eat, how did Fabian call it, an eclair. You know, I've never seen the hair as black as yours before either. Likewise, I've never seen red hair like yours until I came to Britain. See, maybe as a national trait, huh? Yeah, it is. It's that simple. Maybe all the people from this man's country have the grand lips. Is there anyone we know who has lips like that then? Oh, God, yeah. No, lad, I was born right here on Fresno Street, and I've never left. Wait, you have, because the Old Bailey's not on Fresno Street. Let's see here. People. I don't think there's anyone else with lips like this. Wait, huh. Wait, no. Nothing, not a zip. He's got a similar nose to this guy. Like big and bulbous. Stuff like that. I've not got much else to go on there, have I? And I was born here around Fresno Street and never left. Ha! This is, the problem, see? So you definitely didn't go to the park on Lime Street that day, Mr. Gossip. How many times do you want me to say it, eh? Why am I giving him a weird accent? I never leave Fresno Street, alright? I have no interest in any red-headed league. Hold it! So, you'd heard of the Red-Headed League, had you? You don't get a name like Gossip for nothing, eh? It's my business to know what's going off in town. I sold that tasty tidbit to a fair few redheads that came past me. Just between us, I even got sandwich to cough up for it. Well, does have a very red nose if that counts. Who knows? The nose knows. But as you can see, my own hair's not got a hint of red in it. And in any case, Fresno Street's my patch. You won't catch me.
Is that so?
Hello? Sidling off to some other part of town? No, sir, not likely. Hello?
Excuse me.
Mr. DeRusso. Oui? Can I help you? Did Mr. Gossip's word just now lead you to remember something relevant, perhaps? It was the other day when I was looking for a place near the park, a small house or something. To be the headquarters of your Red-Headed League, yes. I visited an housing agent on Lime Street, and there I saw him. This man was paying money to the agent. What? Mr. Gossip? With a housing agent? Oui. He had some kind of contract in his hand and they were clearly discussing terms. But, no. You're mistaken, chum. I never left Fresno Street, me, like I said before. You're mistaking me for someone else. Someone with the same face. No, the capo is right. I remember it too. He was playing the man with the banknotes. With nose? Like I said, that wasn't me. I was curious why this man with the dirty clothes had so much money. So I looked at the name on the papers. Oh. And what name was written? Mr. Gossip? No, this man, he lies. He tells you that he has a name. But in fact, his name is Hugh Boone. Is better than Mr. Gossip, I think, see? So, Hugh Boone. I need like Hugh Boone owned this room. Which does raise questions. Because this was in there. Huh. Is it him? Because what I'm thinking, if he's actually Hugh, like, I don't know how his face has ended up like that, but if he's actually Daily Vigil, he's actually Daily Vigil, who's having a Daily Vigil in a room with a picture of his wife. Huh. That's what the picture's about. Got it. No! I know who you are, mate. Still doesn't explain how you make your lips like that and your nose like that, though. I'm a peddler of tidbits of information, like I said, on Fresno Street, and that's that. I don't much like folk talking about my personal life. Indeed. And it is not the intention of the court to invade the privacy of witnesses. Very well, I shall respect your wishes, sir. The aforementioned name shall be redacted from all court records of this trial, assuming no objections.
Objection!
A bloody big one. I'm sorry, my lord, but the defense does object. Because the name just mentioned has a very deep significance to this case. Good gracious. Do you similarly object, Prosecutor Osogi? As it happens, my lord, that particular name has already been mentioned during today's proceedings. Well, I never. In what capacity? Do you not paying attention? Hugh Boone. The name of the leaseholder of the room. Let me put this very simply. The victim's body was discovered in your rented room. I suggest, sir, that you start talking. Well, alright. Suppose that might be the case, So your real name is Hugh Boone. Oh, I changed to Boone, so. Well, just between us, I don't like to blow my own trumpet, but there's no finer peddler of tidbits in town. So I happen to be able to afford a grubby little room in a falling down backstreet townhouse. You do? And once every 6 months I go and pay the rent to the agent on Lime Street. Oh, I remember now. There were 2 vulgar redheads in there last time. Aye? 5 roses are vulgar, it is not to me. Think again, Peppino. Why didn't you bring this up before? It's like I told you already. I don't like talking about my personal life. I'm a tidbit peddler, and as far as everyone else is concerned, no fuss. You will update your testimony to include this most surprising revelation, Mr. Boone. If I must. So the leaseholder Scotland Yard has been looking for since the body was discovered has been here under our noses all along. I rent the room where that fella was found, it's true. But what difference it makes?
Hold it!
So, you live in that room presumably, do you? No, I don't live there. What do you think? There's no bed, is there? Just a desk. Then why would you want to rent it? It's his daily vigil room. Well, I don't think I should have to say, really. Then how about the notice board in there? Which was covered from top to bottom in confidential documents only the police should have access to. No, that board's not mine. The inspector must have brought it along. It's only the other tidbits, yeah. Other bits and bobs that belong to me. The desk and the chair and that. People don't generally carry enormous notice boards around with them. This doesn't mean the picture is his. The real question is, why was Inspector Gregson killed there in your room? Well, obviously, I have not the faintest idea. I mean, it's causing me no end of bother, to be honest. It seems to me that Mr. Boone would rather as little is known about his room as possible for some reason. Yes, it does come across that way, and more importantly, knowing that the scene of the crime is actually his room completely changes things. In particular, there's one part of his testimony that's really bothering me now. That's how I'm finally going to undo this man. I'm all alone in the world, me. I have no kinfolk or nothing. Why would I be involved in something like that? You don't have an accent. If you have no kinfolk, as you put it, and they explain why it is that among the sparse furnishings we found this photograph in the room. I presume, as you've been renting the room, that this photograph belongs to you, does it not? Oh, well, Mr. Boone, drop the pretense and tell the court exactly who you really are. I don't know what you mean. I'm a peddler. I keep telling you so. The music. You really don't need to bother with me. Please, just leave it alone. As the man says, leave it alone. Whatever the truth is about this man's life, it has no bearing on this case. Because it's simply not possible that he impersonated Inspector Gregson.
Objection!
How can you be so sure? Just look at the man. No amount of disguise could ever hide those unmissable features.
Objection!
But what if we were to look at this the other way around? What do you mean? Yes, counsel, what do you mean? Well, there's no denying that Mr. Boone's lip is very prominent indeed. But consider the possibility that his prominent lip is itself part of an elaborate disguise. Got him. Then hiding that prominent feature, in other words, revealing his true face, would make an utterly impenetrable disguise. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Hugh Boone? And such. Order. Oh, good witness. Are you still hiding the truth from this court? If that's a disguise, then underneath it, his true identity must be. Yes, that's right. There's really only one person he could really be. My lord, the defense believes it can reveal Mr. Boone's true identity to the court. No. Please, no. Very well then, counsel. What is the true identity of this peddler who goes simply by the name of Gossip on the street? Here he is, Daily Vigil.
Take that!
Your real name is actually Mr. Vigil, isn't it? Mr. Daily Vigil. Yeah, I don't recall that name, counsel. Who is this Mr. Vigil? It's a name I encountered yesterday, my lord. It has to do with a certain client of Mr. Herlock Sholmes. A young gentlewoman came to the detective asking him to locate her missing husband. The woman in this photograph, in fact. This is Mrs. Vigil. What? From what I understand, you haven't returned home since the night before the inspector was found dead. But of course, on that night you were being held captive by the two red-headed League men. And last night, you were put up by the prosecution service in preparation for testifying in this trial. Because we've been led to believe that you, Miss Venus and Mr. Sandwich were all homeless. Being important witnesses in this case, we need to know where we could find you, of course. And that explains why you've not only been unable to return home, but also unable to contact your wife, who's been beside herself with worry, waiting for you at the Vigil residence. Now, just hold on a minute. What I'm talking about? We need to see what he said. Where is it? No, hold on a minute. I don't have the first idea what I'm talking about. Really? It's a simple enough matter to confirm my suspicions. All we have to do is pull off that disguise. No. Please. Bailiff, bring soap, a sponge, and a wash bowl at once. I want to screenshot that. Mr. DeRusso and Mr. DeRossi, you will restrain the witness. Oh. Oui, my lord. Si, my lord. No. Stop. Get off. Please. Don't. Dun dun dun. How did his hair colour change? Is it just dirty? Dust? Well, you are now seeing your true features, I presume. Where'd the clothes come from? Lift your head, sir, so the court can see your face. It would appear that the defense counsel's assertion was entirely correct. This has all been a very elaborate deception. So, witness, tell the court. Have you seen this man before? I don't believe it, but... See, there is no question. There we go. This is the inspector we saw in the park. Extraordinary. On the day of the Red-Headed League enrollment, the man claiming to be Inspector Gregson, who appeared before Mr. DeRusso and Mr. DeRossi in the park, was you disguised as the inspector, or rather, was you posing as the inspector in no disguise at all. Mr. Vigil was formerly employed as the chief warder at Berkeley Prison. The chief warder? And your career had promise. Why, you would quite possibly have become the future governor of the prison. What on earth have you been doing peddling tittle-tattle on Fresno Street? Well, it's been 10 years since Mr. Vigil worked at the prison. 10 years? I'm really dreadfully sorry about all of this. Yes, it's true, I am Daily Vigil. And you were the chief warder at Berkeley Prison 10 years ago. So where did Mr. Hugh Boone come from? Boone is the other me. It's a name I invented. Well, evidently, there's a great deal under the surface here. I'll explain everything. I'll tell you just how wretched my life has become. Well, go on. As you say, it was 10 years ago now that my employment at Berkeley Prison's chief warder came to an end. I expected a flashback. Having left the prison service, I searched for some new occupation by which to earn a wage. The times were hard in London, and I found no suitable engagements at all. In desperation, one day, I turned my hand at selling wares on Fresno Street. But your wife appears to know nothing of this. She still maintains that you are the chief warder at Berkeley Prison. I was utterly determined that my wife should not know of my failings, which is why I have never told her. I opened an account at the bank under the name of Hugh Boone, and I rented the cheapest room I could find on Fresno Street. Scene of the very crime we're investigating. Yes, that's right. A place from which I could emerge every morning at 8 as a squalid peddler, and transform myself back every evening at 5 into a well-dressed man about town before returning home. That quickly became my daily routine. I was puzzled by the lack of furniture in the room, but that explains it. Why on earth didn't you just tell us this in the first place? I have a wife, sir, and 2 sons. Without wishing to sound self-conceited, they regard me with some pride. I couldn't bring myself to disappoint them. So instead you decide to conceal your occupation from them? Yes. I made such a terrible mess of everything. Still, one thing doesn't add up. No matter how many tidbits of information you could sell to passing gentlemen, even at 6 pence apiece, You couldn't hope to match the salary you must have commanded as chief warder at the prison. Very true. To have kept your family in comfort despite 10 years of somewhat misbegotten employment. That was all thanks to Inspector Gregson. What? Inspector Gregson? What on earth? It was some years after I had invented Boone and begun my other life as a street seller. He, the inspector, that is, recognized me one day. Do you mean to say the victim was an acquaintance of yours? I knew him from my time working at the prison. When he saw what I'd become, he was deeply troubled for me and my family. And from that day forward, visited me on Fresno Street with increasing regularity. And then one day, he asked me if I would carry out a secret assignment for him. A secret? What was it? It was a secret, sir. I was to impersonate the inspector. What? Impersonate him? Oh. We always met in that little room so the inspector could brief me. Visit Orgzees tomorrow and take a statement from the proprietress. It was always something along those lines. Surveillance work, interviewing people. On those occasions, he would lend me his identification so people would believe who I was. My instructions were to make an impression, to let people know that Inspector Gregson had been at work. And for those services, he compensated me financially. A Scotland Yard inspector willingly relinquished his identification into your care with intent to deceive? That, I'm sure I need not point out, is a very serious criminal offense. But why? What was the point of your impersonating him? I truthfully do not know. All I can say is that the inspector warned me on numerous occasions. Now remember, Vigil, I need your solemn word. You don't blab about this to anyone, alright? Wait, what did he say? Yeah, what did he say? Remember, Vigil, I need your solemn word. You don't ever blab about this to anyone, alright? Ever. Even if I end up a croaker. So that's why he didn't say. Okay. In time, he started to bring papers with him to the room as well. It became something of a second office for him. So, in fact, the person who declared himself to be Inspector Gregson at the park on Lime Street was really... Yes, it was me, acting on the inspector's orders. As usual, I removed my Boone disguise, and then went as instructed to the park armed with the inspector's identification book. It never occurred to me that the bruise on my neck might give me away. Yes, indeed. A lot of dots. Well, it would seem this confession completely destroys the defense's case. What? Explain yourself, Prosecutor Sergey. My learned friend's assertion was as follows. The victim was killed at another location on the day before his corpse was discovered, at the hands of these two red-headed League men when they imprisoned the inspector. Oh, crap. But no, that can't be. Stop doing that. After all, it wasn't the inspector who went to the park that day, it was me. Oh, goodness. Finally, we have clarity. We had nothing to do with the murder of the inspector. And merci, Monsieur de la Défense, for proving it. Well done, yes. Oda. Indeed, it would appear that we have reached a de facto conclusion of sorts. Crap. These witnesses had no involvement in the murder of the victim. As proven, somewhat ironically, by the defense. I hereby call an end to the cross-examination. Gotta be something we can pursue now. Pardon me, my lord, but with your permission, I would like to pose one further question to the witness. Kazuma? What question, counsel? It concerns the events of 10 years ago. I believe you would have been present at a very significant execution that was carried out at the time. 10 years ago? The execution of the professor, Genshin Impact Esogi. I want to know exactly what your involvement was. Oh, answer me, man. One moment, counsel. Is this related to the current case? Naturally. It is the prosecution's belief that this case and the events of 10 years ago are inextricably linked. Does the defense concur, counsel? Kazuma, you're not yourself. You're not as calm and collected as usual. It's personal, that's why. Poor Kazuma-sama. No wonder he's acting this way. Mr. Vigil's memories of what happened 10 years ago would tell the tale of Genshin Impact Esogi's last moments. His own father. I know. I do understand that. But even so... Prosecutor Asoki. Do you genuinely believe that this question requires an answer in order to learn the truth behind Inspector Gregson's death? I need you to trust me. Please. Very well. Then the defense has no objection. I see. In that case, you will answer the question, witness. The truth is, I remember very little of that time. You've forgotten? I'm sorry to say, yes. As I said, I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. But for some peculiar reason, my memory of the events leading up to that moment is extremely hazy. Does that not strike you as strange, Mr. Naruhodo? Sorry? Well, 10 years ago is a long time. To have forgotten the reason why he left such an important job. Yes, you're right. Not only that, Mr. Vigil's claim contradicts what we already know. The human spirit is a fragile thing. It's broken all too easy. Which is why we have a tendency to wrap it up for protection? Sorry? The human spirit? I'm afraid I don't understand what you mean. When we experience pain and suffering that we feel unable to bear, we block it out, obliterate it from our memories, seal it away. But it never truly leaves us. If the seal is broken, the memories resurface. And when they do, that fragile spirit may finally be crushed. But I really don't... Kazuma-sama. But if it must be crushed, then so be it. Because the truth will not stay buried. It's coming out, one way or another. Right. Now I understand. It's clear what his intentions are. Break the seal means to expose the truth at any cost. A lot of dots. Perhaps if I pointed out the contradiction in what Mr. Vigil claimed earlier, it might cause some crucial memories to return to him. But should I? Should I present the evidence or not? Do it! have no idea how this is going to go. But this is a court of law, and I have a duty to pursue the truth. Mr. Vigil, I'd like you to look at this. Evidence that clearly contradicts your version of events. 'Cause, yeah, wasn't he fired? A harsh reprimand incurred by Mr. Vigil 10 years ago that resulted in him losing his job as chief warder of Berkeley Prison. He didn't quit, he was fired.
Take that!
Just a few moments ago, you made the following statement. I resigned from my role at the prison 10 years ago. Well, yes? In other words, you claim to have left the post of chief warder of your own volition. Well, yes, of course. Why? Tell me. Do you remember seeing this document before? No, I don't. This is a dismissal notice ordering the immediate termination of a prison staff member's employment. A dismissal notice? And the name on the notice is yours, Mr. Vigil. What? What? It's mine? So you didn't resign from the prison service at all? For some reason, you were dismissed as chief warder from Berkeley. No, there's been some mistake. I'm sure I tendered my resignation, and this dismissal notice is nonsense. Isn't it? If you were forcibly dismissed, there must have been good reason. Clearly, you did something. Mr. Vigil, it's time to break the seal and have you remember. Break it. According to the few remaining records, final execution that you supervised was on the 17th of June 10 years ago. And on that day, something very serious took place at Berkeley Prison. The 17th of June. Was that the professor's execution? Professor? As you were the chief warder at the time, it stands to reason that you would have been present throughout the proceedings. It does sound familiar. And yet, that execution never took place. The convict, ostensibly executed earlier that day, later re-emerged from his grave. The convict came back to life? In the cemetery in the middle of the night, there was a witness. However, the witness claims that a moment after he saw the convict clambering out of his grave, a gunshot rang out from over his shoulder, and the bullet pierced the professor's chest, killing him instantly. Those may have been the professor's actual last moments. Yes. Seeing as you were in charge of overseeing executions at the time, you must know the truth about what really happened. It's in your head, somewhere deep down. Well, Chief Warder Daily Vigil, I know there are memories in your head that can explain what happened on 17th of June 10 years ago. And now it's time for you to drag them up. Mr. Vigil? Bring them forth. Break the seal. Do it. Do it. Do it now. Yes. The whole prison, it was complete chaos. The prisoner escaped. He was killed in the cemetery. The shocking news ripped through Berkeley like a hurricane. What? What? Oh my. Order! Do you mean to say, Mr. Vigil, that your memories of the time have returned? My head, it's like some floodgates have been opened. The images, the screams. Oh, my goodness. The papers. There were reports, articles, about a man who'd seen a ghost. Yes, Enoch Drebber. But surely those reports were exaggerated. There were traces at the scene. Traces of what? In Lowgate Cemetery, at plot number 139, blood. Lots of blood. That's where the man was buried, of course. Obviously something terrible had happened there. The depths of conspiracy and depravity from which this tale is emerging are quite staggering. I've reviewed the police records from that time extensively. A thorough investigation was conducted by Scotland Yard to ascertain how the convict managed to escape in the first place. And the conclusion reached by the investigation team was that a member of the prison staff must have been involved. Are you suggesting that a prison warder abetted the man's bid for freedom? Yes, and I was suspected of doing it. Of using that mass murderer's execution as a way to help him escape. You did what? I don't remember now. The horror of it all is coming back to me. One evening, a few days after the execution, some detectives came to the prison. I was called to the governor's office at the top of the watchtower. I'm sorry, Daly. This is a serious business, but I can't help you now. As Chief Warder, you're responsible for overseeing the execution of 4, eh? Well, seems the fellas at Scotland Yard want to have a few wee words with you about it. You better pack your things, laddie. You're to attend in person. As soon as he told me that, my mind just went completely blank. And the next thing I knew, the professor, the most hated killer in our country's history. And I let him escape and finished my life. It's over. That's the seal broken, alright. Oh, bloody hell. Order, bailiff, fetch a doctor at once. Court is adjourned for today with immediate effect.
So, with Mr. Vigil's collapse, proceedings came to an abrupt end for the day. Once again overshadowed by the legacy of that notorious killer, appearing like a cursed ghost ship on a foggy ocean. Lord Van Zeeks, Mr. Vigil, Kazuma, and Gregson. All of them bound by invisible chains anchored to the same wreckage in the murky depths of the past. But the miraculous light that had been trying to cut through the gloom and shine on those tragic events was playing on the edges of the truth at last.
Oh, goody. And we will use that as a place to end this part. And when it asks me to save, I will. But we'll be seeing you in the next part. Ta-da for now.